Looking forward to talking to Mike Florio in 30 minutes. Danny, I've got a sneaking suspicion that the Commanders are going to draft a kicker. And if they do so before the 7th round, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm just letting everybody know in advance.
You're calling your shot here.
Yeah, I can't do that, especially in a year where I just don't have a bunch of draft picks. You want to draft a kicker, you want to get cute and do the thing you shouldn't do, because make no mistake about it, you shouldn't do it. It never works. But if you want to do it, you better have 8, 9, 10 draft picks. Double digits is a good starting place, if we're being honest, to draft a kicker. When you have 5 picks right now, you don't get to. Sorry. Now, they move back from 29 and they move back from 61, and they add 2 picks each time they do it, so they end up picking 7 times. That's if they move back twice and add a pick each time. Still a 7-player class where most of your picks are in the mid to late rounds. Not ideal, but I guess I could live with angrily the drafting of a kicker. In their current situation, when you pick 3 times before the 205th pick in the class, when you pick twice before pick 128 in the 4th round, you don't get to draft a kicker. So if you're wondering, well, why are you worried about this?
Yeah, I was going to say, where's this coming from?
Yeah, well, I got some evidence.
Okay.
Number one, they worked out with Andres Borregales yesterday, according to all reports. Commanders held a private workout for the kicker from the University of Miami, considered one of the best kickers in America this year, one of the top kickers in the country. They have met with him already. Apparently, their contingent at the Shrine Bowl spent some time with him in January, and now they went to his facility as part of the pro day and had him do a workout for their staff. You could say, well, that's the whole point of the job. That's what they do right now, and that's true. Although I would make the case, let's save time on working out and talking to kickers before the draft. But I digress. Second is Adam Peters was in San Francisco when they drafted Jake Moody in the 3rd round. You familiar? Remember this whole debacle?
I do.
By the way, this guy stinks out loud.
Yep.
He missed 10 kicks last year, 24 of 34, got the yips. Ended up, he was the one that, like, Deebo Samuel was trying to fight on the sideline because he couldn't make chip shots.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah, I do.
They drafted him in the 3rd round.
3rd round.
99 overall in the 2023 draft. And that was not a year where the San Francisco 49ers had a bunch of picks. It was kind of like Washington this year, if I remember. I'll pull it up. But I think they made 4 picks that year because it was after the trade up for Trey Lance or whatever. So let me look at this. What year did I say they drafted him?
That was 2023.
Okay, so they actually did have several picks. That part I'm wrong about. They had 3 in the 3rd round, but they only had 3 picks before round 5. They didn't have a 1st-round pick. They didn't have a 2nd-round pick. And then they took Jake Moody in the 3rd. Can't have it.
Can't have it.
Can't coach with him. Can't win with him. Can't do it. So I got Peters having been in San Fran when they drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. I got Washington not doing anything to upgrade its kicking position this offseason. Makes me think they got a plan there if they're not going out and signing a real kicker. And then the last thing I'll say is they're working out this guy, Borregales. They're going to draft a kicker, man. It's going to happen. Prepare yourselves.
As long as it's not early. Now, somebody might listen and say, well, it's an important, it comes down to kick sometimes. And if you're a team that's going to play some ball control and, take some pressure off Jaden Daniels, maybe you'd want someone that's reliable as a kicker. And I guess my response would be the highly drafted kickers have not been reliable the way other position groups are. There's busts everywhere, of course, but the Roberto Aguayo corollary applies here.
2nd round, Florida State, Tampa Bay Bucks out of the league in a year.
Absolutely. Jake Moody, not particularly good in terms of kicks made.
I'll go the other way. Sebastian Janikowski was a 1st-round kicker who I think kicked for 17 or 18 years. He had a really long career. Seabass was good by all accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, that was not a good draft pick. I'm sorry.
And the trend line has been obvious. It's usually on average, last year there were 3 drafted, but usually it's 1 kicker, maybe 2 per year are drafted in its late round stuff. Every once in a while, you get someone that jumps up, like, again, an Aguayo back in 2016, Moody in 2023. But for the most part, it's round 5, round 6, round 7, undrafted free agent. If the gap in terms of practice for one of these guys being worth a 3rd or 4th round pick was so much different than the Washington worked out Austin Seibert, who was drafted a few years ago, by the way. Washington worked out Daniel Carlson, Jason Sanders, Jake Elliott, Zane Gonzalez, whatever. If the gap was actually historically worthwhile, I'd go, you know what? That actually makes sense. Invest the resource in it and secure it. To me, this is one of those places. I don't know the number of draft picks I would have to have before I said, okay, use one on a kicker because every other position is filled. I'd rather have another guy playing special teams. I will find my kicker on the open market. It's where they go. It's like middle relievers in baseball. 1 year a guy's unbelievable. The next year he's, persona non grata because he missed a couple extra points, and you don't know what these guys are going through all the time. So to me, I would almost never draft a kicker. So I'll be annoyed if that happens, especially if it's one of their early picks. Not that they have that many.
Fantasy football is a completely different thing. Sounds stupid when you even make the comparison, but I'm starting here for a reason. In the fantasy football draft that you're going to be in this summer, everybody essentially knows that you take your kicker in the final round of the draft. Now, I'm in mostly leagues now where we have gotten rid of kickers because I just think it's a futile, useless exercise in fantasy ball. What's dumber than the randomness of that week a kicker getting 16 points and beating you? I hate that. Or even if I win the game with a 15-point night from would never be Jake Moody, I guess. But
you got a Young Wei Koo situation where they can't score from inside the red zone. He gets 14 points for you.
He stunk this year too.
Yeah.
But you get the point of the dude's story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out on kickers in fantasy league. So any league I'm in charge of, there's no kickers. But you take that player in the last round. That should also be the philosophy of every single NFL team. If you want to upgrade kicker and you think there's a chance it's going to be hard for you to sign a guy competing against other teams as a college free agent, you don't want to risk losing him because there's other better landing spots where he's definitely going to be a starter right away, or it's geographically in his backyard, or the weather's better, or maybe I'm a cold weather city. It's a tough place to kick, Chicago or something, in an outdoor with division games and Lambeau and whatnot. So it's going to be hard for me to compete with the Rams to get this undrafted free agent kicker. And you got to draft a guy in the 7th round, and you want to make that case to me? I could live with that. But 6th round, too early. Durant Brooks called. I want that pick back. I still hate that happened the way that it did. The Ray Guy Award winner, if you remember. Mm-hmm. Durant Brooks, the punter who Washington took. Anything before the 6th round is egregious. Like, what word would you use? I mean, it is anything before the 5th round is unacceptable. 6th round, rather. 1 through 5 for a kicker or punter, inexcusable. I hate it. 6th, maddening, annoying. 7th, upsetting but tolerable is kind of how I would label it.
Yeah, 7th for me is, I wouldn't do that, but all right, I'm not going to fight you on it.
I mean, if I was a GM for 50 years and I had a Super Bowl team that was loaded everywhere and I needed a kicker, I might consider and then think better of taking a kicker in the 7th round. I would think about it for like 5 minutes. But I'm sorry, dude. When and they got to the NFC Championship game last year, so God bless them. Mm-hmm. They are right now 6th in power rankings going into the season. So there's a lot going well for the Washington Commanders at this moment, obviously. But we all know they got major needs. We all know they have to continue to add. There's just not enough depth on the roster. And you only have 5 picks at this moment. So hypothetically, that's how many picks you'll take in this draft if you don't trade back. That is a luxury that you do not have.
And if they, again, I'm trying to quantify this better. I don't think I did a very good job. I'll try it again. If the hit rate on drafted kickers was higher than the constantly evolving free agent pool, you know what I mean? Like some of these guys that they brought in, Zane Gonzalez, Austin Seibert, I brought those guys up because they were both drafted kickers over the last handful of years that were readily available at all times in the free agent. You can go work this guy out right now, pool of players. I know you'd like to do better. I would too. I'd like a solidified kicker position. That's a lot more fun. But where's Justin Rohrwasser or Anders Carlson or Joshua Carter had a good year. But you know what I mean? Like the ROI on a drafted kicker is not better than free agent Freddie or get the veteran that's bounced around a little bit.
I'll give you another one. Chad Ryland was drafted by the New England Patriots out of Maryland, if memory serves.
They got a good year this year, if memory serves. Am I right?
He's not in New England anymore. He was there for 1 year.
Kicks in Arizona now?
Yes.
Yeah.
He missed 9 field goals last year in New England.
Not a good year then.
And cost them, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had a chance to, I guess you could say it helped them because they picked third and got Drake May. But cost them dearly in a couple games at the end of the year and really bailed out Washington to an extent. But Chad Ryland is on his second team in 2 years. He was better last year. But they drafted him in the 4th round in 2023, right after Jake Moody went in the 3rd round. Another one, Anders Carlson, was drafted. Like the 3 kickers drafted in 2023. Carlson, Green Bay moved on from, no longer there. Chad Ryland, 4th round, gone from New England. Jake Moody, the worst of the bunch. There's 0 chance he's the kicker for San Francisco all year. 2022 4th round, you just mentioned Cade York. He's bounced all over the place. He was here for a cup of coffee. He's been everywhere. I think the last massive success that's proven out over multiple years would have been Evan McPherson, who the Bengals drafted in the 5th round, and he even had a bad year. Who was
scuffling this year. Remember, he missed that kick against Washington.
Boy, do I.
Helped them win.
He cost them the game against the Ravens by missing a mid-40s field goal. He had a terrible season, but he's at least a really, really good kicker and like kicked in the Super Bowl and has been successful for them. But no, don't do this. Do not draft a kicker, please. And if you do, by God, please make it the end of the 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant.
With more picks that you've acquired through wheeling and dealing. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's not something I'm going to get.
Can't you see it happening?
You laid out a pretty good case.
The workout, the Shine meeting. Again, Peters clearly doesn't view it like I view it. I'm not pretending like he ran the whole draft, but he was heavily involved in their drafting.
Yeah, that's the school he graduated from.
Jake Moody was taken 3rd in a year where they didn't have a 1st or a 2nd. Like that should have been fireable for somebody.
Yeah. At least, head scratching. I mean, they're coming off all those wins, so nobody really noticed. But it's like, really, that's the plan. Yeah, I mean, again, if there was a man, if you spend on this a little bit, you'll get a good one. If that was the case, I'd go. It actually makes sense to me. They don't want to be in that free agent. Let's work out this guy this week tier. But there's so many dudes that are just not. Like, where's Sam Sloman right now? That was a drafted player. Into the NFL. I don't remember him kicking at any point in time.
I don't know who that person is.
That's my point.
But here's what I do know. I know that of the guys that have been drafted in the top 6 rounds, 5 rounds even, more of those kickers have been failures than successes. Like the transition is just more volatile than you would think, because it's not like a position where size and physicality and speed and all that matters. You think you see a guy kicking in college, he could kick in the NFL. It's pretty similar. The hash marks change a little bit, but same goalposts, like whatever, right? All right, the goalposts are different, but like we'll figure it out together. You were great in college. Theoretically, you should be better in the NFL. You're going to get better. It just hasn't worked that way.
It doesn't work that way.
There's not really a predictive nature to it.